So I'm a bit of a Freerun fan. I think I've seen both. There's 2 seasons out, right? It's been a long time. I enjoyed the show. Apparently, this video is supposed to be, it's about Freerun. It's supposed to be interesting. I sniped it from Surus in a chat that we share. So thank you, Surus. Going to be reacting to this one. And when I look at this person's channel, they only have the one video from 3 weeks ago, and they already have 8.66k subscribers. So I have to assume that either all this person's subscribers came from this one video, which would be kind of crazy, but not impossible. Or this person is on a second account. I don't know which it is, but I have no idea what I'm in for. So let's just jump into it.
For the last year, something really strange has happened. The same political movement that spent a decade telling us that the founding fathers were villains, our Constitution was—
Hold on. Don't single out Jefferson. All the founders are problematic. That's true.
Founding fathers were villains. Our Constitution—
Well, problematic doesn't necessarily mean villain. They just did bad things sometimes. Like, very bad things. Like, they owned slaves. Like, I think that's problematic. Historian uncovers the racist roots of the Second Amendment. I mean, it may very well be rooted in racism. Sure. I'd be willing to believe that.
Constitution was structurally racist.
Doesn't make it bad.
And America itself was an illegitimate white settler colonial state.
Well, that is actually true.
If you get a black moo-moo, we can judge you.
A black moo-moo. Thank you very much for 5 tier 1 gifted subs, but my brother in Christ, what are you talking about? A black moo-moo? Like a cow?
Tax returns are insane. Happy to say I am not funding genocide unless less than $250,000 out of 10k counts. I am still getting a return, too. This shit is nutty.
Why am I having trouble, like, mathing the math? Thank you very much for the 100 biddies, though. 250 at most. So what, you got a good tax return? That's the
judge robe.
What is the judge robe? What are you talking about? What is anybody talking about? I'm trying to watch a video.
Built on genocide.
Thank you very much for
slavery,
the $2.
Has now suddenly rediscovered a deep reverence for pretty much all of these things. The left has gone all in on embracing this aesthetic. They dress themselves up as patriots and cosplay as the founding fathers while attending protests under the tagline, "No Kings."
Mm-hmm.
And many on the right are just staring at this, completely dumbfounded. Didn't we just spend the last 10 years watching these same people essentially declare total war on the American mythos?
Well, no. You're dumbfounded because you think Democrats and leftists are the same thing. Like, Democrats are largely the ones at the No Kings protests. Like, leftists are there as well. I'm not saying they're not. But, like, the No Kings one is run by the Democrats. They're more than happy.
Yeah, I had a 9k W2 where I literally paid nothing, so basically I avoided paying for this Iran shit and still have money coming my way.
That's pretty cool. Thank you very much for another 100 bits. Appreciate you. You've given me the money then. We don't need to venerate them as infallible gods. Yeah, exactly. I'm fine with saying that the founding fathers were problematic. It's called having nuance, man. Like, I'm fine saying that they were problematic and also that they had a few good points. Like, we shouldn't have kings. You know? Like, you can do both.
On the American mythos. All of us remember the cultural revolution that was the Great Awakening. We all lived through the
Great Awakening.
1619 Project.
What is that?
The tearing down of statues and monuments.
Thomas Jefferson statue in front of Portland High School is down by protesters as several monuments linked to slavery are defaced and removed during demonstrations. Okay, I mean, they did own slaves, so there is that. You can't deny that. So if you're suffering or have empathy for the people who are suffering from the fallout effects of having been descendants of slaves still, because they never got reparations, I can see why these statues would piss you off, sure.
The incessant lecturing that America was never great to be.
Donald Trump today sets out to make America great again, but what if it was never great?
Begin with.
Whenever you ask these motherfuckers when America was great, they never have a good answer for you.
The very public character assassination.
Okay.
Nuance? Keep that shit in your bedroom, this guy says.
True, thank you for another 100 biddies.
Nation attempts. And several of them were quite successful. Against everyone from astrophysicists to
God, there's too many to pause on. Come on. I hate it when they do this shit. They're like packing you with information.
Against everyone from
that you have to address. Rosetta scientist Dr. Matt Taylor breaks down during apology for offensive shirt video. Cries as he makes an apology for wearing an offensive shirt. The shirt which he was wearing when he spoke to press about the mission featured cartoon images of women wearing PVC and firing guns. Taylor says he made a big mistake and is very sorry for offending people. What? That seems stupid.
To CEOs.
Oh God, Mozilla CEO Brandon. This is going to take too long. Brandon Eich. How do you pronounce that? Resigns after protests from gay marriage supporters. Have waited too long to say this. I'm an employee of Mozilla, and I'm asking Brandon Eich to step down as CEO. Okay, I mean, if he's anti-gay marriage, then I think that's fine.
The relentless,
Even good.
personal,
Really?
and ruthless
Really? You can't even see any of these.
attacks on white men.
Like, you took so much time gathering all of these and putting them together into this spicy little image, and I can't even read it. I have no idea what's happening here. I have none at all. I completely believe you're enough of a loser to make them all relevant, though.
And ruthless
Look at this.
attacks on white men for being the root of all evil in the world. The explicit attempt to shut them out of all institutions and elite career pathways. We were told there was nothing to celebrate about this country, and that its only hope for salvation would be to hand everything over to the very people who framed their hatred for us.
No wonder he's only got one video.
Robert E. Lee even was against statues, not to keep open the sores of war, to commit to oblivion the feelings engendered.
Thank you very much for another 5 tier 1 gift to sub Sake. Yeah, we're just abiding by what Robert E. Lee would have wanted.
Us as a universal moral imperative.
White men must be stopped. True.
So what exactly are we supposed to believe? That the founding fathers
Stop.
were
I don't know if I can watch this. Does he do this the whole time? He's got to get the free run at some point.
But now they're sacred guardians of liberty to invoke against the current occupant in the White House? Why does it seem like there's a sizable chunk of the political divide who expects us to accept their appeal to things they themselves were trying to tear down just a few years ago?
Oh, this is why the Democrats are demons from Freerun, right? Demons and Freerun aren't even really people. They're just like boot scum that took human form. Like, they don't have actual opinions, or like they're viruses that are very good at like killing people, and that's it.
I think you know where I'm going with this. You've already seen the title of this video. At the same time, there's been this huge blow-up over to what degree the American founding can be used as a political football by one side who openly hates this country. There's been a similar cultural battle over an anime that came out just a few years ago.
I'm sorry, that transition was crazy.
Called Freerun, Beyond Journey's End.
This is just like Freerun, guys!
A handful of left-wing anime fans have argued that, like every other cultural icon of the last decade, Freerun obviously belongs to them. But there's just one problem.
Well, it's a good story, so of course it does.
Freerun is as close to being explicitly right-wing as any anime possibly could be. And it's right-wing in a way that explains virtually everything that's happening to American politics at the moment. Now, for those of you who haven't seen it, here's what you need to know about the world of Freerun. In this world, demons exist, and they've evolved a very specific survival strategy. They look almost exactly like humans. They have the same bodies, they have the same faces, they even speak with the same voices. The only thing that really gives them away are the small horns on their head. And you've got to remember, these things have spent centuries studying human beings and learning how to blend into society. They've picked up human speech and behavioral patterns.
This is just like the liberals. Oh.
The whole thing is a performance. It's a manipulative play with one purpose and one purpose only: to weasel their way into a position close enough to do what they actually came to do, which is to eat the humans themselves. And in one of the most memorable scenes of the first season, Freerun's party encounters a demon that has taken the form of a young girl. Now, I want you to pay close attention to what happens next. The human hero of this party, Himmel, simply can't bring himself to strike this demon down, even after it had just murdered and...
The demons just sound like if autism was evil. I don't even think comparing it to autism is a good comparison. They literally do not have the capacity for reason, for empathy. Like, they're not human. They are not actually people. They are just viruses.
Eaten another child. From Himmel's perspective, all that he sees is a small and frightened girl, not a monster with no...
They're viruses that are very good at acting. That's it.
...compassion for its victims. And so he just can't do it.
They're zombies.
He can't swing his sword and strike this demon down because it goes against his own principles, his own moral compass, really his entire worldview.
I would say that more sounds like an analogy for sociopaths. I don't even think sociopaths... Well, it could be an analogy for sociopaths, sure. I mean, I haven't sat down and like really thought through what they're trying to say with the demons. My first instinct was to be like, I don't like that there's an entire race of people that are just inherently evil. But they're not actually people, right? They're like a force of nature. They're a force of nature. They are evil incarnate. And I think that's interesting in itself. You know, how the main characters tackle that. Evil incarnate, trying to cosplay as people.
What happens next is that the village chieftain steps forward and offers to take the demon in as one of his own. He basically promises to raise it as a human and to show it love and compassion. But in doing so, he's playing right into the demon's hands. It has no interest in integrating into human society or reforming itself along humanity's
he's really about to do it. He's about to compare demons to immigrants, please.
Order. All it's interested in is manipulating the emotions and principles of the humans around it in order to continue killing. And so, tragically, the same principles that drove this family to open up their home ultimately result in the village chieftain being killed, his homestead burned to the ground, and his daughter nearly suffering the same fate as the first child that Himmel failed to avenge. Finally, Frieren steps forward to do what Himmel couldn't. And in this moment, we learn everything we need to know about the world of Frieren. The demon cries out yet again.
You can tell this guy wasn't around during the anti-SJW movement if his argument is the left are using Americana to push their evil like the demons of Frieren, and then he clearly... Oh, you guys gotta abbreviate these. Then he clearly wasn't around when conservatives pushed literal neo-Nazi insanity by claiming of free speech and denying social issues. Well, yeah, I mean, of course, it's always like projection, right? They're not human is sadly what the right wing also always say about some other marginalized group as a scapegoat. Well, they don't say that anymore. They get close, but you know, they have to be more careful these days. This dude is about to compare murderous people eating demons to immigrants, and that's an even bigger indictment of his personality than his enemy PFP. Yeah.
For a mother it doesn't even have. And when Frieren presses it on it, it finally admits that it's simply a magic word that keeps people from killing them. As Frieren herself explains,
奴らにとっての言葉は人類を欺く術だ。
To them, words are merely a means to deceive humans.
the point here
For the
is that
listeners.
demons use human empathy and morality to their own advantage, despite never adhering to those moral principles themselves. The entire thing is a trick, designed to cause what would otherwise be the demon's enemies from recognizing themselves as such. This is why I said earlier that Frieren is deeply right-wing. So much so that there's an entire collection of memes pointing this fact out.
See, I told you, we're comparing the fucking demons to the immigrants, see? That's crazy work, brother. Also, I'm pretty sure this is AI generated, so that's pretty cool.
And this one scene from a Japanese anime perfectly explains the current state of American politics today. I've summarized the phenomenon here, in a tweet that ultimately inspired this entire...
Conservatives win an election, leftists appeal to the Constitution, the rule of law, Christianity, and the Founding Fathers to ensure the conservatives never act against them. Well, what do you mean conservatives never act against them? They always act against us. They're doing it as we speak. What are you talking about? We invoke those things because you guys believe in them and you don't follow them. You're hypocrites, all of you. Disgusting hypocrites. That's why we point it out. Not necessarily even because I give a about Christianity, just to point out the fact that Jesus said, love thy neighbor as yourself. The most important commandment. Love God, love thy neighbor. And some people interpret that as being one and the same, but you can't do it, can you? You just can't. That's why we invoke those things. Because you're hypocrites, all of you.
entire video. This has been the story of American politics.
They immediately discard all of these principles and begin ruthlessly imposing their will on society. What will? What did leftists do to America? What do you mean? What did we do?
For years, arguably decades even. The Constitution, the rule of law, separation of powers, checks and balances, federalism, the founders' vision for this entire country. All of these things are generational commitments on the right. We see them as essential elements to who we are as Americans.
What are?
Federalism, The Constitution, the rule of law, separation of powers, checks and balances.
The rule of law, huh? Okay, Donald Trump's a criminal who also started a coup. He incited a coup, an insurrection, to overturn a fair and free election. Separation of powers? My ass, Donald Trump's been running the whole show. He's been overturning judges left and right. Checks and balances, also, I mean, that's the same thing, kind of the same thing as separation of powers. They belong in the same basket.
Federalism, the founders' vision for this entire country. All of these things are generational commitments on the right. We see them as essential elements to who we are as Americans. They have to be honored,
ruthlessly imposing free healthcare and livable wages. How dare we?
And defended, even when doing so is painful, and even when honoring them means sometimes losing. But this is exactly why the left appeals to these things. Even if they don't...
Okay, no, I'm sorry. Winning is part of the strategy, okay? I'm not saying at any cost, but if your plan is not to win, if you feel like there is a chance of failure and there are reasonable steps you can take to make sure you don't fail, you should take those steps. That's got to be part of the plan. Otherwise, what good is your plan?
Fully understand the reason why. They do understand that these things carry an almost mythic power in the minds of conservatives. And it's a mythic power they're all too happy to exploit when it suits them. Perhaps there's no better recent example of this than this year's Democrat State of the Union rebuttal. Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger deliberately chose to deliver it from the chamber of North America's oldest legislative body in Williamsburg. Just a few...
She's a Democrat. What are you talking about? I don't even know who she is, and I can tell she's a liberal. She's just got that look about her. You know, that dinosaur look.
America's oldest legislative body in Williamsburg. Just a few miles from the site of the first English colony at Jamestown and the birth of America's independence at Yorktown. And
when have the Democrats not appealed to like the structure of the United States and like the founding fathers and what? Like Democrats have always done this. Can we talk to this guy? I need this guy to hear from an actual leftist, because this guy's under the delusion that leftism and liberalism is the same.
In this speech, what did we see? Explicit references to the Declaration of Independence, our Constitution, and the Bill of Rights, invoking the story of America's independence from tyranny. Direct appeals.
Hold on. The United States was founded on the idea that ordinary people could reject the unacceptable excesses of poor leadership, band together to demand better of their government, and create a nation that would be an example for the world. That is true. And this year, as we celebrate 250 years since America declared our independence from tyranny, I can think of no better place to speak to you as we reflect on our current state of our union. I mean, she's not wrong. It's still liberal as but it's not wrong. I don't care what America was founded on. I care about what's right and what's good.
From tyranny.
But you have no rebuttal. That's why you're just like, oh, they're demons. Oh, they're demons. They have no actual points to make. They're just demons. Don't listen to them. Just don't listen to them. The irony is that by calling Democrats demons, you now have free license to kill them. I'm just saying.
Direct appeals to
what our founders envisioned.
Spanberger even went so far as to quote George Washington and regurgitate the old conservative adage about law and order, yet somehow twist it into an attack on ICE, even after an illegal migrant from Sierra Leone with 30 prior arrests stabbed a woman at a bus stop in Northern Virginia. Keep in mind, all of this was happening at the same time the Democratic Party in the state she governs is advancing bills to terminate Virginia's cooperation agreements with ICE, limit the ability of law enforcement to share information with...
ICE wasn't part of the Founding Fathers' vision for this country. Okay, the Founding Fathers understood immigration and the importance of it.
Federal immigration agents, ban immigration arrests near courthouses, and turn schools into ICE-free zones.
Good.
And the same illegal alien who stabbed a woman to death at a bus stop in Northern Virginia, that all happened literally the day before her speech. And a week later, Spanberger refused to hand him over to ICE. One example
of one criminal who happens to be undocumented. That's crazy.
For deportation.
What are the stats, bro?
Does she believe this is what the founders would have wanted? Illegal migrants from another continent coming here and killing Americans? How do you stand there in the birthplace? It's
so indignant.
Of America.
How do you stand there
and then go home and do everything in your power to govern in a way that would horrify them? The answer, of course, is that she isn't confused. And she's not being inconsistent. She knows exactly what she's
They're
doing.
all nerds, all of
She's
them.
invoking the things she knows conservatives hold sacred, because invoking them constrains conservative action.
No, you're wrong. You're giving them too much credit. They're literally just appealing to the tradition of it all because they're liberals, okay? That's all. They're just appealing to the tradition of the country. That's it. Like, oh, in all my days, oh, the founding fathers never, oh, like, who cares? Nobody gives a fuck about those dusty old powdered wig wearing who owns slaves. Nobody cares, all right? The reason that I invoke them sometimes is to point out your hypocrisy. Like what I said about immigration. I guarantee you look up I don't even know. You look up the founding fathers, I guarantee you, they either had nothing to say about immigration at all, or they thought it was a very positive, very good thing, okay?
The moment her party is back in power and the Constitution becomes an obstacle rather than a shield, it will stop being a sacred document and go back to being a relic of white supremacy. Just like it did before. And
what?
Party is back in power and the Constitution becomes an obstacle rather than a shield. It will stop being a sacred document and go back to being a relic of white supremacy. Just like it did before.
A relic of white supremacy? The Supreme Court's originalism is white supremacy.
Wealth, fame, power.
Hello?
From another continent. Remind me where the settlers came from and what continent Mexico through Panama is on again?
Thank you very much for another 5-tier 1 gifted subs. Yeah, I was a little confused about that as well. I thought that like they thought all the Mexicans were coming over. Like they're not all from another continent. I'm a little confused what he means by this. The moment her party is back in power and the Constitution
becomes an obstacle rather than a shield, it will stop being a sacred document and go back to being a relic of white supremacy, just like it did before.
A relic of white supremacy. Oh, is he like, the Supreme Court's originalism is white supremacy. The conservative supermajority has weaponized this harmful judicial philosophy as a way to embrace a racist, patriarchal narrowing of political rights. So he's saying we're calling it a relic of white supremacy. I see what he's saying. I mean, I think there's good stuff in the Constitution. The Supreme Court is not one of those things.
And this gets to the fundamental problem at the heart of American politics right now. To conservatives, the Constitution is a civic...
Yeah, if the Democrats really wanted to go ham, good point. They would have expanded the Supreme Court or abolished it. Can you imagine abolishing the Supreme Court? My God.
Bible. It's the cornerstone of America's identity. It's
I
the
wipe my ass
guarantor
with your
of liberty for
Constitution.
its
I don't
people,
care.
and the crowning achievement of our country's contribution to political philosophy.
If the Constitution is incapable of stopping an old orange quit from destroying the nation, then it's not worth the paper it's written on, the parchment rather.
But to the left, the Constitution is something else entirely. They don't appeal to the Constitution because they believe in it. They appeal to the Constitution because you do. To the left, the Constitution is at best just a procedural tool.
Okay, but you're not addressing the hypocrisy. You see what he's doing here, right? He's like, well, they don't actually believe in the Constitution, so what if I don't? You do, okay? And it says right there, right, that you should have freedom of speech and not be detained for it, like that one girl was last year. Stopped on the street by ICE and then thrown in a detention center because she said some shit about Palestine or Israel or some shit. What was her name? I can't remember her name right now. But she's far from alone, okay? You care so much about the Constitution, act like it. You're a hypocrite. That's all we're saying.
To invoke when it gets you what you want. And at worst, it's a founding document of white supremacy written by white patriarchal slave owners to protect a system of oppression that progressives are determined to tear down. Sometimes quite literally. It's the political equivalent of that same survival mechanism that demons have in the world of Freerin, which might conveniently explain why a subset of the left openly identifies with them in online discourse. But of course...
Wait, just got to the demon episode. This doesn't demonstrate that they identify with the demons. Why is he so stupid?
But of course, these two views are not
Oh, it's because he was a conservative,
compatible.
I forgot.
There's no political system on Earth, no matter how well-written or long-lasting it may be, that can survive a dynamic where one side treats its founding principles as a bedrock of civilization, and the other treats them as a means to deceive their enemies. So what does this all teach us?
It teaches you that you have to just forego the Constitution entirely, right? Like you do.
Well, for years now, I would argue that almost everyone on the right has been able to feel this. even if they've struggled
I turned
to put
away
it
from the
into
mic to
words.
breathe.
The left has spent a long time essentially abusing deeply held conservative
Okay,
principles.
I'm kind of done with this. He's boring. Yeah, this is a really dumb comparison, and obviously every accusation is a confession. Conservatives famously do this with like the whole, oh my god, cis is a slur, or we need a safe space for conservatives, or whatever the f they're saying now. Like you're discriminating. Oh, you're discriminating against white people. Oh no. Yeah, conservatives famously never act like demons from Freerun, but hey, yeah, it was just dumb. That's all I have to say. It's all it deserves. Hi, thanks so much for watching and making it to the end of the video. I just wanted to let you all know that I love and appreciate everybody in my community, whether you can support me financially or just by liking, commenting, and sharing my videos. It helps way more than you know. That being said, I do want to give a very special thanks to my tier 4 subs, which would be Space Timid and Hot Take Andy. And thanks so much to my monetary subscribers from any of the tiered subs, or anybody who gives me money in any form, including going to my Patreon shop, donating money to me directly. It all helps way more than you know. If you do decide to help me financially, you can get some really cool perks like early access to content, exclusive access to censored videos, also some really cool badges next to your name. Even if you can't afford a monetary subscription, just watching, sharing, and commenting on my content helps way more than you know. Thanks again, and I will see you all in the next video.